Have you been thinking about playing Dungeons & Dragons and now you're ready to make your first character? If so, this is going to be the video for you. This is going to be beginning Dungeons & Dragons, making your character sheet. Hey guys, I'm DM Dunn. Today, we're going to be talking about building your first character and making your first character sheet. The first thing you're going to want to do is print out your character sheet. You can access this in the description below, and there's also going to be a click to one of my videos up here at the top talking about building your first character as well. But we're going to actually do the whole thing here on today's video. Character sheet's 3 pages typically. First page, you're going to have your most important information. Second page will be kind of like some background stuff about your character, and then the last page, if you have magic, will be on the last page. So if you don't have any magic on your character, you won't be using that page. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is decide on what class you want to play. And we've talked about that in the other videos, but I'm going to play a barbarian. And the barbarians are going to be the upfront fighters. Typically, they're going to be the tanks, as they've been called, where they're going to take all of the damage and protect all the squishies in the back. And they also deal out lots of damage in the front as well. So these are your excellent fighters, damage dealers, but also damage absorbers, protecting the rest of your party so they can do their things. So we're going to go with barbarian is the first thing that we're going to be picking out. So we can go ahead and jot that on our sheet. And then we're going to want to figure out what race that we want to be. Now, as far as races go, you can look through all the different races and kind of decide which one's going to best suit you. And I don't know, one that I like is the half-orc. The half-orc is just known to be big and strong and ready to fight, and it just kind of fits like a really good barbarian. So let's go ahead and choose the race as the half-orc. Okay. So now what we can do, now that we know what's going on with that, is you're going to be able to go to your half-orc right here, and it's going to basically kind of give you some of your starting information. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and roll our ability points, our ability scores. And how we're going to do this is we're going to roll 4 d6s, which are the squares, and then we're going to take out the lowest one and add up the 3. That's going to be 1 of our 6. Then we're going to re-roll it again and do the same thing over again. So here's how we're going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and roll that out. Oh my gosh, we got 3 6s, which is the best, so we're going to go with an 18. We're going to do it again. Take out the 1, 9, 12. We're going to use some different dice this time. I always like to mix it up. We got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for that one. Didn't really help out a lot. Let's try a couple more. Oh my goodness. 6, 7, 8. And let's go with these. Wow. 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. This is going to be a fun one. And 10, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are our numbers that we're going to have right there. So now what we can do is we can actually, I like to do is skip to the backgrounds. And then the backgrounds are going to be nice because they're going to give you some extra things that as far as skills that you don't necessarily want to duplicate. So it might be a good idea to figure out what background you want to be. And they start on page 121 of the player's handbook. And let's see. It's actually, the first one really starts on 127. The Arclight, Criminal, Charlatan, Entertainer, Folk Hero. Now you guys can definitely take time to read some of these details once you find one that you like. Hermit, no. I'm going to go with an Outlander. and simply because my barbarian is a loner. He's been out on his own, away from civilization, so he's rude and crude, and he eats with his hands and doesn't wash his hands first. So he's going to be an outlander. Now in here it shows you that you have skill proficiencies in athletics and survival. So in our skill sheet, athletics, we're going to fill in the dot because this means that we're proficient in athletics. And we also have survival, and so we're going to fill in that dot as well. So the background is automatically giving us those two. And then we have tool proficiencies. So one type of musical, so I'll just write in here, musical, and we'll go figure that one out later. And then language. Oh, I get a +1 language. So we can figure out what language we want to do as well. And equipment, we're going to have a staff, a hunting trap, and what do we got here? Oh, a trophy. All right. A trophy from something that we killed. And a set of traveler's clothes. And a pouch containing 10 gold pieces. So here's my GP gold pieces. I have 10 of those. All right. And now what we can do is you can actually pick some of these extra personality traits. If you look in the book here, personality trait, and here you have personality trait, and it says D8. So you can actually just roll a D8 and see what random number that you get right here, or you can actually just pick one that you like it. And, oh, this is fun, the 8th one. I was, in fact, raised by wolves. So what you can do is write the whole thing in there, but I'll just put that one in there for now, and then I can come back and fill in the full details later. The ideals, this one is a D6. Let's just go ahead and roll a D6 and see what happens. 6. So the 6th one says, my ideals is glory. I must earn glory in battle for myself and my clan. That's awesome. And then for your bond, let's try the D6 again. 3, 1, 2, 3. I will bring terrible wrath down on the evildoers who destroyed my homeland. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my homeland was destroyed. And I'm going to get my vengeance. And then my flaws. Let's see what kind of flaw that my guy has. 6. Don't expect me to save those who can't save themselves. It's nature's way that the strong thrive and the weak perish. All right. So that's some really fun stuff that you can use when you're playing your character. These are the things that are always like in the back of his mind or her mind and what drives him with these things. So that's a bunch of flavor, which is really fun for playing the game. But we also got some of the stats that we needed from our background. So now we can go back to our barbarian page, and it's going to give you some examples of names that you can use, and you can also go online. There are some websites that you can punch in where you can type in male orc names, and they'll give you a bunch of lists, and you can reset them and just until you find one that you like, and you can use those. Or it's just starting off in the book. They're going to have some examples for you too. So Dench. So his first name is Dench. All right. So Dench, the half-orc barbarian. Half-orc traits. All right, so the strength score increases by 2. So over here on the side, I'll just put like a +2, so I know to add that later. And my constitution score is going to increase by 1, so I'll get a +1 to my constitution. Age. Half-orcs mature a little faster than humans, reaching adulthood around 14 years old. They're noticeably faster and rarely live longer than 75. I want my guy to be an adult, so let's say he's at least, he's been out in the world for a while. Let's say he's 22 years old. And that's going to be on your second page up here at the top. His age, let's say he's 22. And alignment, half-orcs inherit a tendency towards chaos, being chaotic, meaning they can do whatever they want. They don't have to focus on lawful or unlawful or evil. They just focus on chaotic, whatever they want. Parents are not struggling. Good. Raised among orcs. All right. So let's just say he is alignment. Let's say he is. Yeah, let's say that he is chaotic neutral. So he'll do whatever he wants whenever he wants. If he murders somebody, if he feels it was a good idea, then he's good with it. If he turns somebody into the police, he feels it's a good idea. He feels he's good for it. Background. Oh, we did Outlander. Outlander. Player is going to be DM done. Ditch. There we go. Okay. Sizes, orcs range from 5 feet to well over 6 feet tall. I want my guy to be tall, so let's make him like 6'3" tall. Space speed is 30 feet, so that's going to be on our first page, 30 feet. And, ooh, this is nice. He has dark vision, so I'm going to write that over here so I don't forget. Dark vision is really good whenever there's no torchlight or anything around. He also has menacing. And what's nice is you can write these page numbers here so you can come back and reference this. And then relentless endurance. Because these are all going to be different depending on what class that you chose. And savage attacks as well. It's got lots of good stuff here. And so we'll come back and get those. Languages. So under here are my proficiency in languages. We know we're going to get to add one, but we also do know common, and we know orc, because I'm a half orc, and then we're going to get to pick an extra language. Let's just go with Dwarven. Dwarven. And then, of course, you can take some time and look through the different languages that are available. That'll be back there in the same place where we found the Outlander background. And you can look at the different languages and figure out one that you think that your character might have been exposed to during his or her past. And then maybe there's a reason why they know Dwarvish. So maybe my barbarian tribe, they also had some adopted some dwarfs, some hill dwarfs that maybe got lost or separated from their family or something like that. And so there's some dwarfs mixed in with these barbarians, and they were able to learn Dwarvish. So there you go. So that's why he knows Dwarven. Okay, so there's languages. And all right. So there's the half orc. So now we go back to the barbarian. And we're going to get the rest of our stats. Oh, went the wrong way, didn't we? There we go, barbarian. So he starts with a D12. So the hit types is a D12, which is the biggest one for hit points in the entire game, which makes them healthier and able to take more damage than anybody else, which is nice. Okay. Hit points at first level is going to be 12 plus our Constitution modifier. Okay, we'll figure out where our stats that we roll are going to be down here, and we'll plug them in here in a few minutes. Proficiencies. Let's do some proficiencies again first. So we have light and medium armor. That's good. So we can put that on. We're also proficient with shields. So good. We can use a shield to help protect ourselves. We are weapons. We're good with simple and martial. So basically any weapons. That's also nice. Tool proficiencies, none. Saving throws. We're proficient. Here's our saving throws. Proficient in strength saving throws and in constitution saving throws. So again, proficiency, just fill in the dot so that you know that you get to add your proficiency bonus there. So here's why, when we get to our skills, why I wanted to do the background first, because the background automatically gives you like usually one or two skill proficiencies. Our background gave us athletics and survival because of our background. Here in Barbarian, it gives us a choice. We can choose two from either animal handling, athletics, intimidation, nature perception, or survival. Well, our background already gave us two of those, so it'd be stupid for us to choose it again. So we've already got athletics and survival, so we need to pick 2 from animal handling, intimidation, nature, or perception. Well, my person grew up kind of like out in the wilderness because he was known, so I'm going to say he's proficient in nature for sure, for one of those extra ones. And he's a half-orc, so he looks kind of creepy and scary, so let's go with intimidation. And he's also, so his second one is proficiency in intimidation. So there we go. So again, nice little key trick to do your background before you pick your choices in your class for your skills. And that's why I like to do it that way. And then it'll start with your starting equipment. And our starting equipment says we can have either a great axe or any martial melee weapon. I like the great axe. Let's go with the great axe. Great axe it is. It also says we can have 2 hand axes or any simple weapon. Let's go with the 2 hand axes. Hand axe times 2. And we're also going to have an explorer's pack. I like to put that over here. Explorer's pack. And farther into the book, it'll give you the details of all the items that are inside of that explorer's pack. Write those down or have access to all those because they're going to come in handy. The rope, maybe you have torches that you need, maybe there's pitons or a string and a bell. There's going to be lots of cool little things that are in there that can be helpful depending on which pack it is that you get. And those candles, just one example, candles, right? So let's say there's something screeching, some noise that's really hurting your ears. Just like pinch off some of the bottom of the candles and warm them up in your fingers until they get a little bit pliable and use them as earplugs. Dungeons and Dragons earplugs, candles, because they were in your bag and you forgot about them. And that could save you from, who knows, certain death from a siren or something that was doing a noise that was messing with you. So always keep in mind what's in your pack. Okay. Explorer's pack. And 4 javelins. Ooh, so we got some ranged weapons too. Javelins times 4. All right. So there we go. And then in here, it's going to start talking about some of the things that you can do as a barbarian, which is rage. And this is on page 48. So I can come back and I can make sure I remember those details of how that works. We also have unarmored defense. And that is armor class is 10 plus dex plus con modifier. That's going to be our armor class. That's going to be important if we don't wear armor. So that's one of the nice things about the barbarian is you don't have to wear light or medium, or because we're not proficient in heavy, so it probably wouldn't work. So you don't have to wear either light or medium armor. You can wear no armor. And because we have this special thing, which is unarmored defense, our armor class is going to be 10 plus our strength modifier, or plus our dexterity modifier, plus our constitution modifier. So we'll show you that when we get these numbers up in here. There we go. So that's level 1. The next one starts at level 2. So we're not level 2, so we don't have to worry about that yet. And then the chart here on the first page that the barbarian is, because we are level 1. Our proficiency bonus, it tells us right there. Our proficiency bonus is going to be a +2. Now what that means is every place that we filled in one of these dots on our skills, we get to add a +2 to our modifiers. Rage, unarmored defense, which you already wrote down. We get 2 rages per long rest, and rage damage. It gives you a +2 to your damage as well. Okay, so what's nice about the barbarian is whenever he goes into a rage and he hits and he rolls a damage dice, if he hit while he was raging, he has to add 2 on top of it. So let's say you rolled 6 damage, it now becomes 8 damage. That's pretty nice. So that's why they're really good at dealing the damage. All right, so there we go. So we've got those in there. So now we're going to look at our character. So first of all, we already know that dexterity and constitution will come in handy because that's going to help us with our armor class. However, the weapons that we use, they're going to use strength. So the stronger we are, the more likely they are to hit and the better damage that they're going to do. So those are probably going to be 3 of the things we want to focus on as being higher on our list is strength, constitution, and dexterity. So if we look here, our biggest number that we have is 18. So strength already gets a +2. So if we were to put the 18 right there, it would actually be a 20. And the same thing, our second one is a 12. If we were to put the 12 there, it becomes a 14. So I like it. Let's go ahead and put the 18 in there. So 18 plus the 2, 19, 20. So we're going to put that in the small bubble. So that's going to be a 20. And I'll leave that +2 so I knew that we did there. And I'll mark off my, my 18. And we already said constitution and dexterity are going to be probably the next two we want to focus on. And I have two 12s. Those are the next two highest. So let's go ahead and do that. So dexterity is going to be a 12. My constitution is 12 plus 1, which is now 13. Okay. Now we have intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Now we've got a 10, an 8, and a 7. So let's go with a 7. What do we want to be worst at? He's a half-orc, so he's probably not very charismatic. So let's go with charisma with a 7. Now we've got a 10 and an 8. We've got intelligence and wisdom. Is he more book smart, or is he more street smart? I'm going to say he's more street smart, if you will. So that's going to be intelligence, which will be the 10. And then we got our wisdom, which is now our 8. There we go. And that's another reason why I decided to put these numbers in later, so that I would know what these modifiers are going to be, so that maybe I wanted to do the 14 there, put the 12 and make it a 14. So that way I kind of knew where those modifiers were going to be, so I could adjust accordingly. And so there we go. So now if we go to the front of the book, it's going to tell us what this 20, 12, 13, 10, 8, and 7 actually means. So we come in here to page 13, ability score modifiers. And with a 20, I get a +5. And that's the really number that's really important to us. So we put it in the big part of the box. And then we look here, my 12 gets us a +1. The 13 also is just a +1. The intelligence is a 10, which is going to be no plus, but also no minus. And then the 8 is going to be a -1. So whenever I have to do like something that's based off of like wisdom, like for example, a medicine check, I would roll my dice and I would get a -1 to it. So if I rolled a 10, it would actually be a 9. And then my charisma is a 7, which is actually a -2. So if I tried to, I don't know, talk my way out of paying the bill at the tavern, I'm going to have a -2 to whatever my roll is. So less likely for that to happen. So that's nice. We got a perfect 20 on one. We can't get any higher than 20, especially at level 1. And we got a -2 with a 7 on charisma. So that's kind of fun. This is going to be a fun character. He's going to have stuff that he's really good at. And he's going to have stuff that he's not so good at. And that's what makes a really fun character. And so that's what we got right there. All right. So now our hit points, if we remember, was going to be our D12. So 12 plus our constitution modifier. Our constitution modifier is a +1. So 12 plus 1. Our hit points are currently 13. Our max is also 13. Our initiative is going to be adding our dexterity modifier, which is a +1. So when we roll initiative, we'll just get to add a 1 to that roll to see where we go in the order to where we're going to be taking our actions in the fights and in the battles. Okay. Armor class, if we remember, if we're going unarmored, because I don't have any armor, it's going to be 10 plus our dex modifier, which is +1, so there's 11, plus our con modifier, which is another one, is 12. So 10 plus 2, our armor class is currently 12. And that's what we have right there. So for the most part, that's what we got. We got it all done. What we can go in, we can put our great axe in here so that we know what kind of damage that it does. So that was armor. And it was right there. So the great axe. So we can go GX. It uses our attack bonus is going to be our strength modifier, which is a +5 to hit. So when we roll our d20 to hit a bad guy, we're going to add 5 to it. So we're more likely to hit it because we're super strong. And then the damage for this great X tells us right here on page 149, it's going to be a 1d10. And then we're going to get to add our proficiency, which is +2 because we're proficient in martial weapons, which we wrote down earlier. So we're proficient in it. And we're going to get to add our strength modifier. So 5 + 2, 5, 6, 7. So we get to add a 7 to the damage. Okay, so a +5 to hit, a +7 for damage. Now here's a nice thing that the barbarian has, that rage. If the barbarian is raging, instead of that +7, they get to add 2 more just because of the rage. 7, 8, 9. So they get a +9 damage to whatever the D10 roll is. Good damage dealing, and that's what they're good at. They're not good at talking their way out of stuff because they're not very charming, but they can smash, which is fun. So this is a nice, good smash 'em up guy. And then you repeat the same thing with your hand axe and your javelins, which the details are in here. It'll tell you, so you'd use your modifiers, and then it also what your damage dice are going to be for those. What's also important to note is what type of damage that it does, because the great axe does slashing damage. Javelins do piercing damage. If you had like a club, it would be bludgeoning. And that's important based on what type of monsters you're fighting. Because some stuff, skeletons, if you're trying to shoot them with like a piercing arrow, probably not going to do as much damage. But if you smacked them with like a big club with bludgeoning, you're probably going to bust a bunch of bones. So there's something to think about as well too. So it would be a good idea if you have enough money or gold available is to get a couple of different types of weapons that do different types of damage so that maybe you can adjust. Maybe you're poking with this javelin and it doesn't seem to be hurting that skeleton. So you decide, well, let's try the club. And then you see that it like smashes him. So you're going to learn these kind of things as your character learns them. So don't metagame, but as your character would figure things out, then having those things available would come in handy. All right. And then we had our goal. All right. So there it is. There's your level 1 Dench, the half-orc barbarian, who is super strong, but not very charismatic. Guys, thank you so much. And if you like this video, do me a great big favor. Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Tell all your friends. If you really want to help us out, we do have an Amazon affiliate link. So if you're going to buy anything from Amazon, just click our link first. It'll take you to Amazon. Then you can do your login, and they'll give us credit for sending you over, which we really appreciate. You can also help us out by supporting us on our Patreon. It's just a monthly donation, again, that just really helps us out to keep these videos going for you guys to enjoy. Write us some comments, what you like, what you didn't like. Maybe if you want to see a different kind of class or a different race or something done, shoot us a message down below. And we'd love to do that for you. Guys, until next time, have more D&D fun with DM Done.